I'll start off today with a bit of a personal problem that I encountered myself. Being a startup founder, well, when I started last year, I barely had any money. I mean, I've gone to zero 3 times. Just last year, we pivoted 5 times. We rebuilt the product 4 times. And now, in terms of like SEO, then we thought like, what is our edge gonna be? We thought like, okay, if everybody can write about anything nowadays, so I'm talking about our like own growth strategy and how we can compete with our own SEO, and everybody can publish large volumes of SEO content with AI, then we thought, how do we stand out? Like, what is our edge? Being a small startup, because we need to have some edge in order to outcompete, right? Like, if you're doing the exact same thing, okay, you might get somewhere, but we didn't want to just get somewhere. We wanted to outcompete the competitors in the SERP, like kind of we all do, right? Who wants to outcompete competitors? Okay, so we are in agreement. And what we found out is adding unique info which you can present as the original source to be our edge, especially as a low-budget startup. So this was the expertise that we had gained from having our own SEO agency, because we didn't have money to buy links, hire copywriters, or anything like that. So this is the edge that we found. And what I mean by unique info, for example, first-hand experience. Let's say you're a travel blogger, and you're talking about like the guide to Sydney. What was like the vibes in Sydney, or what were some good places, like this kind of experience. Original research kind of explains for itself. Expert opinions. Proprietary solutions and processes. So how do you solve the problem for your customer? What kind of SOPs do you have internally? But now, obviously, these kinds of insights, like, even though that was our edge, because most other content that I saw just did not absolutely do that. They were like just complete AI-generated content. It takes a lot of time, and as a startup, we didn't have much time to invest in that. We need to scale this thing somehow and still use that edge. So just putting insights manually into each content piece just wouldn't make sense. So the ultimate question came for us is like, how do we scale it? Of course, we can generate AI, SEO optimized content with AI and stuff, but how do we actually also leverage the unique insight advantage that we could use for ourselves? So this is what I'm going to be talking about today, more specifically. The solution that we found is an agentic knowledge system. So this can sound like a bunch of fancy words put into just like a name, but I promise I'll explain it as simply as possible. And even if you've never touched AI, you'll be able to, but I assume most of you. Who has touched AI? Like, who has used AI? Okay, yeah, right, awesome, all of us, okay. No dinosaurs in the room. The Agentic Knowledge System consists of 2 components. Very simple. We have a knowledge base. Who is familiar with a knowledge base concept? Okay, some, but not most, okay. And then a knowledge manager agent. So this might also seem very fancy, but I promise they're very simple. Okay, so I'll explain each component first, and then we'll get to the actual how-to. So a knowledge base is, in this context, it can be called several other things, depending if you're a developer or whatever you do. But a knowledge base, in our context, is a single place. This can be like, I don't know, you can imagine this as you're just using Google Docs. It's a place where you collect information, and specifically the unique information, and you collect it over time. So what's its role in the system? The knowledge base is where AI agents are taking that unique information and putting it into your outline, your content, or however you want to integrate the knowledge base or the knowledge system into your writing process. That's one function of the knowledge base. And then another is actually adding unique insights to it, so updating it and having basically a centralized place where you have all the most unique and new and updated insights about your business, essentially. And of course, the richer your knowledge base gets, the more unique content you can actually create, right? And not only just like more in quantity, but also like levels of uniqueness. How much unique insights do you have in each content piece? Okay, so second component, the knowledge manager agent. So this is an agent that will basically help you build, manage, and use the actual knowledge base when creating content. So knowledge base is where you have the information. The agent is that uses the information inside the content. Okay, so here, basically, these are the functions of the actual agent, right? So first of all, it digests and organizes the information that you provide into the knowledge base. So yeah, whatever resources you upload there, your SOPs or your testimonial, customer testimonials, your product info, whatever you're adding there, it can actually take that information, organize it inside the knowledge base so it's easy for it to retrieve whenever needed to. Interviewing and extracting. This is like, let's say, you have some gaps in your knowledge. Let's say you're writing about a topic and you haven't added a lot of information or your own unique information into the knowledge base about that topic. Then what the agent can actually do is interview you and get the insights out of you. So you don't have to think, oh, what do I add in my knowledge base? You don't have to do that. The agents do the thinking for you, and they actually ask you the right questions. And of course, storing new one. So basically, once they get the insights from the interview that you went through, then it will take those insights and store them into the knowledge base. And like I said before, organize them properly. So the knowledge base is all nice and organized, so the agent can easily retrieve it. And also, one other key function which you can have it do is have it propose edits. Sometimes there might be some contradicting knowledge that happens to get into the knowledge base. So what you can also have it do is, whenever you have completed the interview, have it propose the edits like, okay, do you want this information to go into the knowledge base? Because if you're using Cloud's voice, and you'll see what I mean later, then you can very easily add, I guess, too much information or like information that you don't actually want to use in content. But I'll explain that a little later. Okay, so how do you set this up? All you need is Cloud Cowork and Obsidian. These are both desktop apps. Yeah, you have some Cloud Cowork functionalities if you just go to cloud.ai. But Cloud Cowork, you can add like context and do a bit of the stuff that you would need to do in this guide. So Cloud Cowork and Obsidian is basically like a note-taking / file storing app. And you can use any other AI what you want as well, but Cloud has been the best so far. Who has canceled the GPT subscription? I know that's a trend now. Okay, you guys don't care about it. Okay, anyway. All right, so let's get into the how-to. So step one, actually building the initial knowledge base. When I say this, I don't mean like, the goal is not to build the knowledge base straight as the first, like just build it entirely, because you're going to get unique insights, you're going to get new testimonials, you're going to get unique info to distribute in your content. But you probably already have some, and also we need to get it set up first, right? So this is a screenshot from Obsidian. One thing about Obsidian is that it will create the files inside of your computer. So any note you take in Obsidian, it will actually like create a file locally on your desktop. And basically, you can these are the main three that I would recommend starting from. So this is what we have are the offerings, proof, and research. Basically, offering includes any information about your products or services or features or whatever you're offering. And of course, anything related to that as well. So pricing is an example. Any proof that you have, case studies, testimonials from your customers, and then research. So anything about your competitors, your industry, any research you have done there, whatever you have, you can. And the key thing is, in terms of what info to add into the knowledge base, is what info do you actually want to use in the content, right? So you don't need to add everything. You don't. Some people have put their passkeys to their accounts and stuff. So please do not do that. But yeah, so this is just a disclaimer. But I assume you guys won't do that. All right, second step. Once you have the file system laid out in Obsidian and just created the files and already maybe added some information. Now this is a screenshot from Cloud Cowork itself. Since Cloud Cowork can access your file, local files that are on your desktop, all you really have to do is just give it, so create a folder in Cloud and insert basically the file tree or the hierarchy of your files to your projects instructions, and then it can just it has context to okay, where to search information from. And now in terms of how should you structure your actual files in Obsidian, I'd highly recommend to have consistent structure throughout the documents, right? So these are examples from our own tool. So we have content auditing, right, a feature, and then improvement system. Basically, these are features, and as you see, it's the same structure for both of the features. So we have first of all what it does, how it works, what makes ours different, results, proof, and pricing. So this is what I mean by consistent structure. This helps the agent better retrieve the information from your knowledge base and thus get the right information from the get-go. We're going to have to create 4 skills. First skill is upload knowledge. So how you can create skills is, well, there's just like a very simple button in Cloud Cowork. When you have the chat, you have like a little plus there, and then you just have skills and you create skill. And then essentially what creating a skill means is just prompting and giving instructions to the agent or to Cloud. The upload skill is a skill where you can basically, when you're in Cloud, you just put like /upload skill, and then you can just put like, here example is a article from our software that talks about how do you write SEO content, right? You can just simply do that, and then it will take the information from the article, actually put it into the knowledge base. You don't have to copy text or anything. If you have links, it's very, very simple. Now, with all of those steps, we have the initial knowledge base set up. Now, let's actually make the knowledge connect for optimal retrieval of information. What you can do in Obsidian, and why I picked Obsidian for this is because in Obsidian you can create like very easily these, you can think as SEOs, you can think of internal linking in some way, right? If you see the links at the bottom there, basically this helps the system understand what knowledge is related. This is also ultimately when you're talking about, in our case, the content improvement system, right? Then it also understands like what else is related to that. So when I'm writing an article on like something about content optimization, then it also knows like, okay, RankUp also has like these features as well that are related to that. Okay, so let's get into actually building the skills. Right now, we have the knowledge base. We have the essentially knowledge base, aka like a file system or a file organization system. And now let's actually build the skills that will help us use this information in our content writing process. And I've made it very flexible in terms of like, okay, right now I'm going to be showing in terms of if you have an outline already, but you can use this really the same logic when you already have content written, or even if you don't have an outline, or whatever the case may be. It depends on how you write the content. So the first skill is research knowledge. So this skill is basically researching if you have any knowledge already in your knowledge base, and then adding that information into the outline. What I like to do in my writing process is create an outline and then add any, like before I actually start writing using AI, I like to add actually the key talking points, what I'm actually going to be talking about in each section. Regarding this, I don't have a prompt for you in terms of what instructions, like exact prompt. So this is ultimately up to you, like how you want to prompt it. But essentially, you would just have to give it the task. And you can also do it as simply as just create the skill and have like, okay, whenever I insert this command, please research into the knowledge base and see if I have any information related to the topic. So that's as simple as you can also prompt it. And also, one recommendation which I would have is to have the agent report back if like what did it actually look for in the knowledge base. And that's very useful for the next skill. It's the interview skill. The interview skill, essentially, when you put this skill into Cloud, then the agent will actually start to interview you regarding the topic. Instead of you having to think of what information do I want to include, or do I have all of the information, instead of you having to do that kind of like mental work, what you can do is have this interview and ask you the right questions about the topic and actually extract the insights from you. So in some way, like kind of squeeze the insights out of you. And a pro tip here is to use Cloud's voice. Now, one thing to cover here is, let's say you're not the industry expert on this topic. What you can also do is with the Cloud voice, or also you can use Super Whisper, you can have the expert answer the questions using voice. So kind of just voice mode, like you have your phone or you can have the computer, whatever, and you can just have the person talk to it and answer the questions that way. It's faster in terms of, because we can speak faster than write. We can also provide more information that way, because the expert might have a lot of, when they're thinking of writing, it takes a bit of time to think how to write, but in terms of talking, they can just talk and provide more information faster. I always use voice. It's just much faster in terms of completing the interview. And so this is an example of what I mean. Here is a raw outline on the left side, and then on the right side, I have an outline that is enriched with insights from my knowledge base. Here, I mean, okay, I don't have the full, but basically it found, since my knowledge base is fairly rich at this point when I did it, then it found a bunch of unique insights about how we approach creating outline and how we approach different kinds of things regarding how to create unique content. Yeah, so this is what it would look like if you approach the outline way. This is how I like to do it, but yet again, this is very flexible, and you can create all kinds of skills using Cloud Cowork. You can be quite creative with this, and whatever need you have, then you can use the same basically logic of creating a skill, prompting it, telling it what to do, and you can tailor it for yourself. The improved skill. Let's say you've had the research skill, right? It found some knowledge, it had some gaps. You did the interview, you filled those gaps. Then what you can also have it do is after the interview session, actually improve, so add the new knowledge into the knowledge base for next time use. And what you can have it do is confirm the edits by you before you actually have the agents just insert that information into the knowledge base, because what can happen is you can have eventually contradicting information in the knowledge base, and then you're like, okay, why is it adding this kind of random information in my thing? It's outdated or whatever. So you can always confirm, and that way you avoid that from happening. Here you can see an example. So you just insert the command, and then it will lay it out for you and can talk with the agent or cloud, I guess. The real magic with this system is that with each piece you create, with each piece you add unique knowledge into the knowledge base, the smarter the system actually gets. The more it knows about you, your experience, insights, processes, product or service, or etc. And the less manual involvement you actually have to have over time when you're creating content, because it's essentially a way of reusing unique insights in different content pieces. Once you've filled out the knowledge base, you refine your skills. What you can also do to scale and really take the process to the next level is by using subagents. All you would really have to do is just have it run the workflow for you give it multiple outlines, right? In my case, and have it run the workflow for all of those outlines. So you can enrich the outlines 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's up to how many you want to do at a time, and it can, basically you have 10 or how many you're doing, enriched outlines, which you can then start to create content from, or depending what's your process. If you want the exact how-to guide on how to set this all up, then the presentation is...
George, appreciate for your presentation. There are several questions. I would like to ask your input to one of the questions. Mm-hmm. Do you believe this model can also be applied in the future video content creation? The model you shared right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is for any kind of writing. Today, since this is all about SEO, this conference, then I talked about in an SEO content creation perspective, but the real magic of this is I have basically a team of AI agents in my company. I have no employees, but I have everything, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything handled by AI agents, and it's using the same knowledge system everywhere. So basically, whatever knowledge I want to share in my YouTube video or LinkedIn post or Twitter post or whatever I'm doing, then it can easily just take it from there. And of course, I have a bit of customized workflows for YouTube, but absolutely any kind of content creation, because it's all content creation ultimately about sharing some kind of information knowledge, right? So, yeah.
I appreciate for your insightful presentation. A round of applause goes to George.